He introduced himself in 1965. He said, "Hi, my name is Athol." And I said, "My name is John." We met at an equal level, at a human level. We looked into each other's eyes and the light went on. And I've had that relationship with that man since 1965.
What a story. John, you have the most wonderful stories. I mean, I could sit and listen to you all day. Because, of course, you and Ethel Fugard, you wrote so many important plays, as you say, for which you've got great recognition. Sizwe Banzi is Dead, The Island.
The Island, yes. I performed in many of his plays, from Busman and Lane, Blood Knot, Master Harold and the Boys, Playland, My Children, My Africa, all of those plays.
I mean, yeah. And with Winston Chona, you wrote The Island and Sizwe Banzi.
And Sizwe Banzi is Dead with Winston Chona in Port Elizabeth. Yes, yes.
And to get that kind of recognition, to receive a Tony Award for the play, for your performance, what was that like, to get that kind of international recognition?
We were sitting in the Winter Gardens in the Tony evening, and there was people I have heard and read about, admired from afar. You look on your left, and there sits a person like Anthony Hopkins. And there's on the right Richard Burton. You look on stage, it's Walter Matthau with Jack Lemmon. On it's Angela Lansbury, and that side it's all the great names of Hollywood. And there they were. And we're sitting there, sort of being nominated for the Best Actor, because Winston and I were both nominated. And then Mary Stapleton reads, and with Walter Matthau says, the nominees for, and then we're not listening, we're talking to Arthur, because it's such a grand event. And suddenly, someone says, "Oh my God," the whole Winter Gardens stood up. And Arthur, Winston, and I were the only people sitting down. We didn't hear, because it had nothing to do with us. It's an American event. I mean, to be nominated was never in a million years. And we realized that we were the only ones. And the producer said, "You've won. You've won." And it was the first time ever that the Tony Award was given to two actors in two different roles. But I don't know for which one I won. I don't know whether I won for the Island. I don't. I won for the Island and Winston won for Sizwe Banzi, or the other way. I don't know. Because both plays were nominated.
And you both won.
So we both won. On our way there, and now ons gesels was in Afrikaans and Xhosa, so the American klontjies kan ons nie hoor nie. What are we going to say? I said, I don't know. So I got there, I received my Tony Award. And
so hang on, you stood up. You're standing on that stage and you can see all of these people that you've admired, that you've watched.
They're all
and they're clapping for you.
It's not stopping. We stood there, until the MC had to come back and say, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And everybody sat down and I received it. And I said, "Thank you." Winston came, he said, "Thanks." And we walked off.
No. Is that all you said?
All. The New York Times, in the following day, calls it the most potent political statement by two actors who are not even recognized as human beings in their own country to receive this kind of recognition. It went on in a political eulogy, on and on and on, which, of course, when we arrived back in South Africa, we were arrested for it.
For the thank you. I was going to say, were you going to use that opportunity to get points across, to make statements about the South African government?
No.
So you didn't have to say anything in the statements? The
work spoke. Wow. We said, "Thank you for the recognition." And exactly, but they wrote so much about that silence, about that thank you. They said we were thanking the United Nations, we were thanking the anti-apartheid movement, we were thanking the whole. We didn't have anything to say.
You were shell-shocked. Shell-shocked. But isn't that so interesting, their interpretation of it? But you came back and you were arrested. Weren't you put in jail for something like 23 days?
Yes.
Tell us about that, John. To come back from receiving an award and literally feeling, what did James Cameron say? "I'm the king of the world.
King of the world.
I'm the king," when he won Titanic.
Well,
Did you feel like you were the king of the world?
we didn't even realize what the Tony Award meant.
Okay.
Because the evening, the event was on a Sunday, we had a matinee. So Monday is dark. So when our performance is on Broadway Monday. Tuesday we go to the theater. There has been an overhaul, a refurbishment of the dressing rooms. There are now carpets, there are now fridges with little wonderful...
You've arrived.
Everything has changed. Then there's photographers outside. There's a huge line with autographs. You can't get to the theater because of people, and there are invitations for every talk show from the 7 o'clock breakfast to 10 p.m. to 12 to 1 o'clock BET. It's going on all the time. And there's a bottle of champagne every evening that's put into your dressing room. We used to share the dressing room with Vincent because we just had fun. Now he's in his own dressing room with a star in front and this whole mess confusion about this thing. And you receive your salary a little on Friday night. There are 2 zeros, whatever the figure was.
They've just added on
2 zeros
to
to
must
keep
have felt nice.
nice. And suddenly the season is extended by another 18 months.
Wow.
It goes on and on. Then we thought, no more after two years. We're going home now. Because these plays are now becoming our careers. They were just a play. There's still a lot to be done going back to South Africa. We arrived and then people wanted to see this play. At the airport at Kennedy, there was a huge media. We connected in England, London, Heathrow. There was a huge, we're taken to the first class line to be interviewed. We arrived in Johannesburg. There was nobody. We just got off the plane.
The stark reality coming back of South Africa.
And then we connected to Port Elizabeth. It was my wife and my little son, whom I hadn't seen, who was born while I was in America. And then Winston's wife, and that was it. There was not even a mention, except in the burger. Twee Suid-Afrikaanse acteurs wen 'n wereldtoekenning, something like that. The burger.
That was it.
1975 called us South African actors, because all the time we would be referred to as 2 black actors, 2 black actors from South Africa.
So overseas you were lauded, you were recognized, you came back to your country of birth, and you got nothing.
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 Well, we were excited to see the family, of course. Then there was a performance we needed to do quickly, because we were going back to Australia. The tour had already been arranged. We thought, let's do this quick performance in Transkei, then Umtata and Butterworth. While performing in Butterworth, I began to realize that there were people manning the exit doors. And like 1 white, 1 black, 2 whites.
When did you realize this?
During the course, yes. Because the Sizobanzi, you interact with the audience. You ask audience questions, you pull them on stage, And I was aware that what's going on, there's a feeling, there's a silence in the theater as well. And there's a mood in the theater that's getting a little angry. Not with me, but what's going on. And I thought, okay, this is it today. And then as the play ended, Winston and I came forward to take the curtain call, and the cops grabbed us from the stage. Our friends had to collect our little things, props behind our clothes. I was wearing Sizobanzi's costume. We're driven to Umtata, and we were detained for 23 days.
But there was a big uprising.
Absolutely. I only found out after
Huge
11
protests.
days. I didn't know, because I was locked up in Ngeleni, which is outside in Transkei, Mthatha. Winston was in Elliotdale, so we were separated. So after 11 days in solitary confinement, a piece of paper slides under the door of the cell. I watched it for about an hour, thinking about taking it, knowing that if I take it and open it, it's now evidence in me. Finally, I opened it up. Slowly, it was the Daily Dispatch. It had a picture of Albert Finney, Robert Morley, Vanessa Redgrave, Janet Suzman, and gosh, I've forgotten this other actor. It was Richard Hardwick, standing in front of South Africa House with little placards in the rain saying, free Kani and Jonah. Then I knew they won't kill me now. The world knows I'm here. Suddenly, I knew that. I don't know whether it was a warder or one who
slipped
slipped
under the
it,
door,
or one of the prisoners. I don't know.
Did you really fear for your life at that time, John?
Of course, those days, the days you got detained and gone, and people would be told that you left the country, and you somewhere in a shallow grave, you somewhere in Flak Plus. Many of my friends had gone through that way. I mean, many friends that I thought had gone in exile. So when I was filming in Africa and going to London and America, I always sort of carried messages. Find out if you see my son or my brother or whatever. And I'd find out. And I'd go to the ANC offices and check out on the register where's who's what's happening. People like Mob Strichan, a wonderful mentor in my life, political mentor. And I could never find him. And we found out that the guy was said to have gone to exile, but actually he was killed and buried somewhere in a shallow grave.
We've spoken about that before, Charles, how people disappear and you just don't know.
You don't know. So, I mean, 1994 was a great relief in 1990, the release of Mandela in this country. But it was a truth that many parents were not ready for. Because many parents or families expected with the return of the exiles, their relatives would also come back. And when they did not come back at all, then people in exile says, no, they were never in Zambia. No, they were not with us. No, we don't know about it. Then you realize they was actually killed. So that's why the TRC became such an important event in our lives in order to put and bring closure to some of these unfinished lives that we needed to talk about.
John, we're running out of time. I could spend so much time. I want to just ask you one more thing before we do say goodbye. Living through this, as I said, an extraordinary life. You need to, I don't know, write many books because you do tell such wonderful, wonderful stories. In this new South Africa, are you excited about writing more? Are there stories you want to tell? Do you want to engage in audiences? Are you thrilled? Are you motivated?
I have been honored in this new South Africa. I received the Order of Ikamanga, which is the highest award a president of a country can give you for my contribution to the arts and through the arts to the liberation of South Africa. I wrote a play called Nothing But the Truth, which is being studied by grade 12s all over South Africa. My wife said to me, are you aware you are shaping the intelligence of the next generation? They're studying you. I was in Bloemfontein and this Afrikaans family says, "Woene Here, jy's mos 'n skrywer." Because my daughter, is studying Nothing But the Truth in some Watts War School in Bloemfontein. And that's for me the greatest gift, is that I have been so far in my life useful to my people and my community. I've just completed another play, which I hope to open early next year, which again deals with the issue of rediscovering or reconnecting with our humanity. We're a great country. We've got a little bit of a political problem there and there, a little bit of corruption there and there. You know, we're not Libya, we're not Turkey, we're not the Middle East, we're not Greece. We are the celebration. You know, people toast South Africa. I completed the movie in Belgrade, which has just been released abroad, Coriolanus, with Ray Fiennes and Richard Cox and Gerard Butler, where I played General Comenius. I was visited by the president of the country, who came with the Minister of Arts and Culture, and they wanted to tell us, how did you talk about truth and reconciliation? Because remember, the Serbs were known as the people, Milosevic, who were part of that ethnic cleansing, you know, so they carried that guilt because that's how the world sees them. And they asked, what do you think about the Serbian people? I said, apart from what CNN tells me, what I've experienced in these 2 months I've been working here, you are as wonderful as any God's child on this earth.
John Kani, it has been a privilege and a pleasure. And thank you for the gift of being here and sharing your stories with us. I thank you so much. Dr. John Kani with us in the studios, 101.9 Chaifm, one of those great moments in my life.